better known as Debo, or to us wrestling fans, ZEUS. Now I remember, like, just remembered, like as I was putting my video together, that it was ZEUS who was part of two pivotal moments for me as a wrestling fan. The first one is the very first pay-per-view I ever saw was the awful WCW Uncensored 1996. I think I was at somebody's house or something, and I hadn't yet watched WF Attitude or played WF Attitude. I don't think it was out yet. I was just over there watching the Uncensored pay-per-view, and even a very young me knew it was bad. And he kept building up to that main event, the reunited Mega Powers versus the Alliance to End Hulkamania, which is basically every wrestler Hogan went against, across two promotions. And they brought in a mysterious secret weapon. And I remember that secret, and I remember they kept building it up, this secret weapon, and when it was revealed, it was somebody named Z Gangsta, which I'm pretty sure he came up with that name himself, because I don't think Russo was working there yet. Yeah, so this Z Gangsta, I had history with Hogan. Now, I didn't know about any of this back then. Really, I didn't even care. Like my wrestling fandom was non-existent at that point. Okay, and then fast forward to when I was getting back into wrestling in 08. I went back and I tried to catch up on where I missed between 03 and 07. Yeah, 03 and 07. And then I went back and watched stuff from the 80s and early 90s. And the first thing I watched was this video. I want to say it was No Holds Barred the match, which what they did in the actual movie itself was more No Holds Barred than the actual match. I want to say it was that, because Gorilla Monsoon was going crazy over Sensational Siri, who I didn't put two and two together. And she was Sister Siri from WCW. Like, she's one of those acts from the 80s, early 90s in the WWE or WWF who was before me, but I didn't get to really know until they went to WCW in the mid to late 90s, like Miss Elizabeth. And yeah, Gorilla Monsoon was going crazy over Sensational Siri. I remember the camera started at her feet, so it's wearing black nail polish. I'm like, okay, those are women's feet. And then as they camera pans up her leg, like, okay, her nice legs, and then up her costume. And she always had interesting costumes. And the more they panned up, the more hungrier Gorilla Monsoon sounded. And before they got to her face, I didn't know. It was like I was familiar with Sister Siri, but not too familiar. So I didn't know about the makeup she wore, especially in WWE, and the faces she made. So it caught me off guard when they got to her face. I was like, okay, let's see. Just go, whoa, I remember he was talking about her like she was the last piece of good food on earth. Like my goodness. And I remember I started talking about ZEUS, and that kind of rung a bell. I'm like, ZEUS? Like, who is ZEUS? Like, I know that because I've been making somebody named ZEUS from these creative wrestling websites since like Shut Your Mouth. And when they showed who ZEUS was, it was him. It was Z Gangsta from WCW. And then I knew who he was. I had seen Friday. This was before I seen Friday when I was watching WCW. I said that was way before I saw Friday. So, but now I knew who this was. I'm like, he used to wrestle, really? And so I watched all of his matches. They're not good. They're not good. He's part of some good moments, but they didn't train him proper. Taught him like 2 moves. Well, 3 when it count the neck snap thing he used to do.
Folks, they got down, but no. ZEUS has him at his mercy. Wow, snap the champ's neck.
They taught him how to bear hug and how to throw a basic punch. That's about it.
What was that all about?
I think he really could have been something if they really trained him. Anyway, so yeah. And so I still hadn't put two and two together that Zeus was the gangster just yet until I went back and watched all of his matches and I realized that was him. He was the gangster. And I'm like, what? I even watched the match he did on the Independence with Abdul the Butcher, I think it was. It was him or Yokozuna. It was also crap. It was. But I still do believe Zeus was underrated as a talent. Could have really been something if they really invested in him. Like, who was it? What's his name? Amazing Red and TNA. Same thing. Only he got big, you know. He became a character outside of a video game. I wanted so bad for Zeus to be a character outside of this movie, you know. But anyway, yeah. And so that, obviously I've seen him in a lot of movies. Fifth Element as the president. Dracula 3000, which I'm about to watch. I have to now. Santa Slade, which I was already going to watch anyway and do a review for. My favorite Christmas slasher, he's in that. Yeah, Goldberg's not the only wrestler in that movie. Like, I've been watching his stuff for so long, man. He was on a show called Man and Wife, which I think is still on. Like, I didn't know it was still. I'm still seeing commercials for it. I thought it went off the air a few years ago. I wonder how they're going to do that. The show is still on. Remember he guest starred on Malcolm and Eddie as Zeus, and I lost all of my shit. Because then I knew who he was. This was a rerun I was watching. They kept building up somebody named Zeus, and it was him. I'm like, whoa, really? So, yeah. Like, I don't know what to say, man. I know at the beginning of this whole pandemic, he was, if you ordered your weed from a certain company, and if you lived in a certain part of, I think California, then Depot would deliver your weed to you with the bike and everything, which is really cool and really dangerous. I bring that up because, right now there's no cause of death, but apparently he was suffering from symptoms of the Rona. He was so sick that he had to cancel a movie he was supposed to be in. So, man, Pat Patterson last week, Zeus this week, my goodness. WWE is still showing that Pat Patterson tribute package. What gives me the feels every time. I want them to do one for Zeus, they probably won't. At least give him a title card tonight for SmackDown. Man. I think that's all I have to say about Tiny Lister. Zeus. Yep. Oh, you know what? Wait. I'm not even sure I want a Fourth Friday movie now because we lost so many people. Yvette Wilson, Bernie Mac, John Witherspoon, dude who played Roach in Next Friday, and now Tiny Lister. Like, my goodness. I know we got some kind of closer with him a few years ago when him and Chris Tucker did a skit for a church they both go to, and where Debo showed up to, I don't know, invade a church and intimidate Smokey, who was speaking that. It was crazy. It's on YouTube. Look it up. Apparently Debo is in the church now, as far as the character goes. And so was Tiny Lister. He was very much in the church. So, rest in peace, Tiny Lister Jr. Zeus.